a corporate entity is known for two things. How is the brand value built? One, the product it makes, and two, the goodwill it commands in the market. Long years back, I don't know if you people would recall, there was to be advertisement of Tata Steel, which would talk about its, CSR activities, about the football academy it runs and other things it runs, and then at the end it would say, and we also make steel. So everybody knows that Tata makes good steel, so what's the big deal about it? But you have to value add to the brand. So therein you talk about the social work it is doing, the changes it is bringing in the lives of the people. So that value adds to the reputation of the corporate house, corporate entity. So here again, the corporate house which is involved, the corporate entity which is involved is a very reputed corporate entity. But we have value added to their work. This corporate entity in the last financial year recorded a profit of around 5,000 crores. So how do we value add to it? We value add to it by seeing what else it is doing to bring about change in people's life. Now, what are the key takeaways of the story we are going to hear today? Why I am giving you those points now is that when you go through the story, you realize for yourself that these things are being met by your perception or not. So I am trying to give you the conclusions of the story, conclusions of the water right at the beginning. Necessity is mother of all inventions. It's seldom that you will get an ideal situation. It is seldom that you will get a situation which has been taught to you in the textbooks. You will always get a different situation and at times difficult situations. So how do you overcome such situations? How do you, take charge of such situations? So inventions, innovations. That's the story, today's story. Leadership is about doing a few small things right and creating small wins. Now, as leaders, of course you plan it. You should plan it. But it is not necessary that you will have to act very big to achieve big. Mahatma meaning Mahatma Gandhi gave that famous talisman saying that if you bring happiness on one person's face, you have done your day's work. So small little things. छोटी-छोटी चीजें करिए, small wins, and they will add to your work on day-to-day basis, and you would have achieved your goal. And when you are trying to set small goals for you on a daily basis, they are also easily achievable. And then humility and malleability are the strongest pillars of a leader's personality. What has been the problem with Indian bureaucracy, who were supposed to be the leaders of this country for all these years? Or where is the problem with our political leadership? It is the arrogance which creeps into them, the inability to listen to the voices at the grassroots. So you have to have your ears at the ground, you have to be malleable, that means you have to change according to the situation, and you have to be humble. You should be ready to sit with anybody. In fact, when I do not know if your course component has an internship program, fieldwork internship program, my suggestion to you would be that go to rural areas. Instead of looking for a assignment in a corporate house in Delhi or NCR region, go to rural areas. Go and see for yourself what's rural India. Go and know for yourself what are the challenges there. And I am very sure if you have met your challenges there, if you have overcome those challenges there, you would find solutions to your urban problems also. So, three key takeaways. Necessity is mother of all inventions. Leadership is about doing a few small things right and creating small wins. And humility and malleability are the strongest pillars of a leader's personality. The story which we are going to talk to you today is about Jhabua. Jhabua district on the western periphery of central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. Area is about 3,782 square kilometers. Population 10.2 million, 85% of the population is tribal. Population density 270 persons per square meter, sex ratio is 989, literacy rate 44%, drought prone, traditional occupation, shifting agriculture and hunting. Now, what does this slide suggest to you about the profile of the district? It is a suggestion that this would be the most backward district of this country. And it is the most backward district of this country. You see, it has, it's a large area, sparsely populated. Our national population density is about 416. So compared to that, it's sparsely populated. And tribal population, literacy rate very low. That means tribals are not exposed to enough adequate education. Traditional occupation, shifting agriculture and hunting. It is still practiced there. So that means fruits of development has not reached this district for a very long time. So our story is based in this district, and how and what changes we brought about in this district, we'll see in the subsequent slides. The corporate house, which helped us do the work there, is Gas Authority of India Limited. It started in 1984, and as part of HBJ pipeline, Hazira, Bijapur, Jagdishpur pipeline, gas pipeline, which was started by Rajiv Gandhi in the 80s. On that pipeline falls Jhabua, and Jhabua is the pressure station, pressure pumping station, where the gas which comes in is pushed forward at this place. So that's how the first raise of development came to this district, and it was by default nowadays, because Rajiv Gandhi wanted gas for Jagdishpur, which was part of his constituency, from the sea, and Jhabua came on fell on the route. So that's how the gas authorities processing gas pressure plant was set up here. Last year, the annual profit of GAIL is 4,375 crores, and GAIL has worked much beyond the HPJ pipeline. Today, it is looking after about 9,500 kilometers of gas pipelines across the country. Now, this shortly about GAIL. Now about CSR. We have been talking about charity by corporate houses. In fact, we went to a college which was a charity institution of one of the business houses, very eminent business houses at that time. In fact, if you look at all the old colleges of Delhi University, they have been set up by one or other business houses. Shriram College of Commerce, Hindu College, Kurudimal College, Ramjas College, Hansraj College, all set up by one of the other business houses. So it is not that doing social good is a new concept in this country. It was always part of our culture. It was always part of our ethos. But now it is being more structured in form of corporate social responsibility. I think your professor of CSR will tell you in detail what is different between charity, what is different between social work, and what is different between CSR. Now CSR in past few years has been structured. One of the major milestones in evolution of CSR has been the passage of the New Companies Act 2013. Under the New Companies Act 2013, profitable companies must spend every year at least 2% of their average net profit over the preceding 3 years of CSR works. Those companies that have a turnover of ₹1,000 crore or more, or net worth of ₹500 or more, or net profit of ₹5 crore or more will have to comply. Now that's the today legal requirement for every corporate house to meet. And today, at the last count, through CSR, the country is envisaging work of about 26,000 crores annually, and which is going to increase every year. So it's a huge area. It's a huge area which is coming up. In fact, some of you, as you know, people who would be entering the job market in a year's time or 2 years' time, should also look for opportunities in this area. There is one area which is opening up. 26,000 crores have to be spent annually. It is mandatory. There is no going back. You have to do it. Having said that, what was the challenge in Jhabua? The challenge in Jhabua was to bring social and economic changes in the lives of the local Bhil tribals. The area is inhabited by Bhil tribals who were very averse to anybody interfering in their lives. So that was the challenge before us. We entered there as CSR partner. CSR work is not executed by the corporate account itself. It has to be executed through non-governmental organizations. So we entered there as a CSR partner of an NGO called Community Friendly Movement, which works on village development, addressing issues of supply chain inefficiencies. They started work with artisan communities and have graduated to implementation of complete village development programs that ensures the delivery of sustainable ecosystem that leverages strength of villages. So, I think this would also give you an idea about the kind of work that NGOs do. You know, general impression that we carry about NGOs is that either they are involved in some activism, trying to stop some developmental work, or they are to be seen when there is a disaster happening or a rail accident happening or something of that kind happening, that they become very visible doing social work. No, that's not the complete picture. They are involved in a big way in our country today in doing a lot of work quietly. And one of them is in the area of sustainable development, to create sustainability. So one of the focus areas of our work in Jhabua also has been this, to create sustainable development. The program which we launched there is called Anhat Gram, is the village development program of CFM for developing village cluster as a model of sustainable living through low-cost technologies, better and improved farming methods, and creating market linkages. Anhat Gram. You know, there is a saying that बातचीत की भाषा में कहते हैं कि हर एक बात की कोई हद होती है, हर एक गांव की कोई सीमा होती है. तो there is an अनहद ग्राम. इस गांव की, इस सोच की कोई सीमा नहीं है. You have to go beyond conservative thinking. You have to go beyond conservative thoughts and embrace new thoughts, new ideas, new meanings to bring sustainability. That was the idea of this program. Now, Jhabua. Every organization has a hard posting and a soft posting. If you are posted in Delhi, it's a soft posting. If you are posted in Jhabua, it's hard posting. It's a difficult posting, and you are paid extra for that. So that means even when you are part of a big corporate house, and if you are going and working in Jhabua, it was not easy for you to work there. So the challenge for an NGO to go and work there was still greater, because we were there on our own. We did not have backup of a Sarkari agency. We were there completely on our own. GAIL classified Jhabua as hard location. The CSR project for several years failed to take off there for two reasons. One, lack of trust between the benefactor and the beneficiary groups, and two, the benefactors found the terrain too inhospitable. शहर से लोग गए, काम करना चाहा, पहले तो एक कनेक्ट नहीं बन पाया. जिनके लिए काम करना था, विलेजेस के लिए, ट्राइबल्स के लिए काम करना था, we could not develop that connect. So, and that connect would have come through trust. So there was, you know, when you try and evolve a project, when you think of a project in that particular area, you have to also have to think that how much resistance, traditional resistance would be there to that project. So you have to plan it in a way that your project is acceptable to the people, and you convince people to accept your projects. So one was that, and two, the people who went there from the urban areas found the terrain too inhospitable, very difficult to stay. Till even today, Jhabua gets water supply only once or twice a week. the pipe water supply in Jhabua district town. Forget about the villages. The Jhabua district town gets water supply once or twice a week. And you have to sustain yourself in that. Its story is different inside Gale colony. They have their own support system. But in Jhabua town, so if we were asked to go and stay in Jhabua town, hire a house in Jhabua town and stay. And if you were from Delhi, used to 24 hours of water supply and power supply, it was not easy. So people did not stay there, they came back there. So the challenge was to form a cost-effective team, hardy enough to survive. A group of men in their early 20s, just out of the college, with no B school degrees were selected. The job offered was nearly 3,000 kilometers away from their home. They knew well that their first assignment could well be their last two. They really did not have any choice. Now I'll explain to you in detail. So you have been following in the newspapers that 30-odd Indians are under captivity in Iraq. Must be wondering, how did they reach Iraq? They reached Iraq because they were paid heavy amount of money to go and work in Iraq. Here in Jhabua, so you go and work in inhospitable terrain. You are ready to take challenges if you are paid well. Here the challenge before us, since we were a beginner in the field of social sector, we were not given huge funds. We were given limited funds to start our work. So we were not in a position to pay very good salaries to people. We pay very high salaries to people. So we had to look for people who would come and work for us on low salary. So where did we go and look for people? Where do we go and look for such people? Actually, we don't go to the business schools and look for such people. We went to ordinary colleges and we found people, we found students just out of colleges who were jobless, and some of them were students of botany, some of them were students of geography, some of them were students of watershed management, but they were not getting jobs to which they were trained in, and many of them were landing as call center, in the call centers or in salesman or something of that kind. So, and they were also not from very well-to-do families who could have taken care of them for all their lives. So we offered them this job and we told them, look, if you survive, our project survives and we survive, and then the better salaries would follow. They also realized that if they were not able to retain their job, probably they will never get another job in their lives. So that's how the team was assembled. The photos that you see, the gentleman on the top was the secretary. He was a B school graduate, by the way. He was the B school graduate. He was from the corporate sector, and he had left corporate sector to be in social sector. The man on his next was a Delhi University student, having done geography and postgraduate in geography, environmental sciences. These two were the leaders, and the rest people, the four prominent pictures I have taken, there are several young people like them, who were just about graduates and who were found most unfit for any job in this country. So they all were taken there, and they were taken from a place which was 3,000 kilometers away from the job of work that was going to be. The language was going to be different, the culture was going to be different, the food was going to be different, the breed of chicken was going to be different, the look of cow was going to be different, everything was to be different from where they came from. So the challenge was real for them to go there, work there and survive there, and create a name for themselves, for their organizations, and for the corporate house that had hired them. So they landed there in 2011. In the winter of 2011, we chose winter specifically because summers are very, very challenging in Jhabua. The temperature is very high, the land is barren, temperature is very high, there are hardly any tree shades there. So survival to begin any work in Jhabua in summers would have been very challenging. So therefore we chose winter month. We tried identifying social and economic maladies first. We found high indebtedness and malnourishment to be main problem there. In all these four areas, the money lender, the Mahajan has a big role here. And this has been trying, and this has been happening from time immemorial. अगर आप मदर इंडिया सिनेमा को भी देखेंगे तो उसकी कहानी भी यही थी, देयर वाज अ मनी लेंडर हु क्रिएटेड ऑल द प्रॉब्लम। अगर आप 1857 का इतिहास पढ़ेंगे तो वहां भी यही कहानी है, मनी लेंडर वाज अ प्रॉब्लम एंड मनी लेंडर्स कंटिन्यू टू बी अ प्रॉब्लम इन आवर सोसाइटी। And malnourishment, then as I told you, the terrain was such that they could depend only on rain-fed agriculture, non-remunerative rain-fed agriculture. There was lack of irrigation in the area. The groundwater which was available to them had predominance of fluoride in it. You know, when you drink fluoride, water with fluoride, you get these bone problems and all that. The process and all those kind of diseases they were infected with. There was high rate of unemployment and migration was rampant. Naturally, when you are not earning job in the place of work, people were migrating out to Bombay and other places to look for a job. And despite GAIL being there for last 20 years there, they have not really been able to integrate them with the development activities which was happening in the district. And they, in addition to GAIL, there are several government programs which are happening in the district which could not integrate with them. So next step, first we look for some educated women, you know, in the area, and we incorporated them as team members. They were, you know, having small jobs as school teachers and all that. So we incorporated them, made them better salary than they were getting in school, and started our work. We formed beneficiary groups. Given the high prevalence of rate of alcoholism amongst men, women HSGs were formed for empowerment, inculcation of saving habits and promote self-dependence. Alcoholism being very high among men folk, we thought women were our better bet. So let's work through them. Because if we gave any money to men, we were not very sure that it will be deployed rightly in the projects or not. So we went to the women folk. Then a total of 175 SSGs with about 2,000 women and men are associated today. Members of the SSG are being trained for entrepreneurial skills development for better and livelihood opportunity. First we started with the small groups which you see on the top, going to villages and going to people, encouraging people to join us. And then we started having workshops in our centers where people start coming in large numbers. Empowering women and children. Women showed potential of leadership and in due course took charge of growth of their family and community. The women folk in these households were the most exploited lot. They were doing all the labor with no money in their hand. Once they started earning for themselves, once they started getting money for their labor, they started getting empowered and they started to speak out. And you see some of the photos which you see of these women, they are tribal women addressing a group of very high officials, general manager and officials from GAIL, from the NGO, and people like us, and telling us what the problem is. So if a tribal woman is able to hold a mic and speak with confidence about the problems that she is facing, if she is able to articulate the challenges that she is having, I think we have done our bit in women empowerment. We have taught her how to speak out. The next slide, apart from these volunteers, also undertook work with children of the villages, shaping their personality and dreams. One of the ideas was that women were very concerned about future of their children. What happens to their children? So we created, not exactly creches, we created schools, small schools where at least they would go and learn basic ABCDs and Kakhakas, and you know, and one of the lure there was to come was that they would get a school bag and they would get a school dress and all that. And women were very happy to see their children in this school, sitting in a somewhat of a disciplined manner, looking like school boys are not the usual urchins that they look like. And this created that enthusiasm, that motivation in them to work and integrate with us more aggressively than they were doing earlier. And since agriculture was the only profession there, existing there, so we decided to focus on this field. Projects which had agriculture contents were undertaken. Nursery and kitchen gardens were created. You know, every hutment there, we have shown you a hutment. Every hutman there had a barren piece of land there. We encouraged them to cultivate that piece of land and told them, अपनी शाक सब्जी उगाओ यहाँ पर, हरी सब्जियाँ उगाओ यहाँ पर, उनको खाओ. Otherwise, their food was normal food was some kind of a dal and some kind of a roti. So we encourage them to grow vegetables, and if they ate vegetables, they grew vegetables and ate vegetables, naturally their nourishment levels increased, became better, and they also understood the value of the barren land just outside their household. Secondly, it was not very difficult for them to cultivate these pieces of land because this was just beside their hutment. We supported them with seeds and saplings. Each of the beneficiaries now owns a kitchen garden of about 1,500 square feet. So if you look at it, we have about 2,000 people with us, and multiplied with 1,500 square feet, that is the area we have brought in under cultivation as part of kitchen garden. So small things. As I told you right in the beginning, small things create small wins. So small kitchen garden outside every hutman has brought such a huge area under cultivation. Then what we started doing next was that once they got used to this kitchen garden and growing vegetables, we started encouraging them. Enterprising farmers are trained for commercial nursery raising. You see, we created a project there for nursery farming, for sapling farming, nurseries, and then also encourage them to sell their products of the kitchen garden in the township of Gale. Again, in Gale township, पानी मिल गया, बिजली मिल गया, लेकिन शाक सब्जी कहाँ से आएगा? Jabba was not very known to have शाक सब्जी. So when they went to the township with the vegetables, they had buyers. So the market linkages were created through this. So we gave them an idea how to start with the work, and then and how to create a product, and then created market linkages for that. To do this, we promoted low external input sustainable agriculture techniques. About 200 farmers integrated and encouraged to use organic manures instead of chemical fertilizers. Chemical fertilizers, one, are costly. Two, there are issues about it, that how fertile it leaves the land for the next crop. So, low cost manure, organic manures, and through earthworms and all that, we started doing that. And then we have gotten there now certification agencies which certifies that particular piece of land as organic farm, which gives a better cost for their product. So we started doing that, and then there is a case study of this man called Shaitan Singh, member of Shiva Baba Jaivik Kisan Samooh. This Shiva Baba Jaivik Kisan Samooh is a SSG, self-help group, and Shiva Baba is the name of the group leader. So uses only organic manure that has earned an additional income of 75,000 in the last cropping season. There is improvement in the soil health and quality of grains as reward. And having achieved this total organic, farming certification, now we have gone ahead and gifted him one farm pond, provide him water for irrigation and develop fish farming. As I told you, it's a drought-prone area. Water harvesting is part of our project there. So we have now given him, now having seen that he can deliver, now we have given him a pond to help him with store water. He can do fish farming in that, and he can do irrigation work also. That is the idea of doing it, and help out the other farmers also. Other area where we have focused is domestic fuel. Jhabua being a forested area, the forests were being cut with impunity for fuel by these villages. If you go to them and tell them, jungle mat kaato, ये national policy है, they would resist it. अगर जंगल ना काटे तो फिर जलावन कहाँ से लाए? How do I cook my food if I don't cut the jungles? So you have to give them solutions towards that. Women of the village spend a large part of the day in collecting firewood and bear drudgery of smoke while cooking. what we saw, the women all through the day spent time going around in the forest, collecting firewood and coming and cooking in the kitchens through this firewood, and the problem of smoke, inhaling smoke, tuberculosis and all that was prevalent in the area. And so we thought that if we create a substitute for this, it will make them healthy also and would get them, would save the forest also, and would also give them some livelihood. And towards that, we introduced our briquette making program, attempting to spare the cow dung for vermin composting, as well as provide smokeless fuel for cooking. The idea behind this, creating this fuel was, one, as I told you, save firewood, and two, the cows which were in the area, we wanted to use the cow dung as manures, rather than they being wasted in the, what you call as fuel for the kitchen. So we decided to create this briquette. Now what is this briquette? A briquette is a 6-inch diameter domestic fuel and is made from the agriculture bio-waste and photo waste residues. In the rural areas you find in plenty what's called bio-waste. सूखे पत्ते, घास, ये वो एग्रीकल्चर वेस्ट, इनको साथ लाए, एक जगह पर लाए, उनको प्रोसेस किया, लो कॉस्ट प्रोसेसिंग का तरीका बताया और उससे ये ब्रिकेट बना। Now these briquettes cost, the briquette which was to cost about a year back that I went there, it was to cost about 2 rupees. And it was being sold for about 4 rupees in the market in Jhabua town. 4 rupees for, and it burns for about 1 hour. So 4 rupees for 1 hour of cooking. So that means in a household, and we have shown you the chulha also which we conceptualized there and made there. So in 8 to 12 rupees you were cooking a day's meal. You are cooking a day's meal in a good urban household, semi-urban household. Now if you calculate this or compare this with the cost you pay for LPG cooking. So we try to convince people in Jhabua township again that look, try our product. We will, this is the cost it comes to. And getting LPG in district towns is not also very easy. They are, there is a queue for a month, and the truck comes once in a week, twice in a week, and then there is a long queue. Then there is a huge black market and everything. So people realized that yes, this is very fuel efficient, this is very cost effective, and we have been able to create a market for this briquettes. And it has benefited whom the most? It has benefited the women folk of the villages most. One, they don't have to face smoke in the kitchen. Two, they don't have to go to the forest looking for firewood. Three, they are cooking their food very quickly. Four, the briquette that they are selling in the market is giving them cash in hand, which is again empowering them monetarily. We are empowering them health-wise, and we are empowering them monetarily. Next, we have also tried to introduce animal husbandry. Semi-arid zone farming has to be supported with allied activities. So we breed goat and bucks introduced for breed improvement. We did our research, found out, we went to several places, we sent a team to Isaac Nagar in near Bareilly, and several places found out which would be the best breed we can survive in this region. And then we brought those breed and gave it to them. Poultry farms have been constructed for enterprising members, training on general animal hygiene and medical care. So today, there is always a market for goat meat and then the poultry meat. And we have been able to create a supply chain for this market. And again, we have been able to create a livelihood model for the tribals through this. Now, how do we measure success? How do we measure success of our model? That was there are conventional ways of checking the success. That what was their earning, what was their earning earlier, and what is their earning now, what kind of places they were staying in earlier, what kind of places they were staying in now, and all that. But I look at it differently. success of CFM's Jhabua story cannot be weighed in terms of real-term cash handling. As I told you right in the beginning, people were there ready to spend cash for last 2 decades, but they were not able to find linkages to spend this money. They were not able to create connect to spend this money. What we have been able to do, that we have brought happiness to the team of unemployed volunteers who came to find livelihood and ended up creating a whole happy community. What we brought to Jhabua was a team of unemployed youth who were found to be most unsuitable for unemployment. We created employment opportunity for them, and these people worked hard, mingled with people, did work in most unconventional manner, and they have been able to, the biggest challenge which everybody was facing, they have been able to connect with the tribals of the area. And these are the pictures of the last annual meeting that we had there, and all the SSG members were invited for this meeting. They came there, they participated, they spoke, they danced, and and they made also the volunteers dance with them. So what we did at the beginning of the lecture when I had come to you, what was our biggest challenge? Social integration. The biggest demand at that point of time was how do we achieve social integration? So we have been able to achieve that social integration. They trust us, we trust them. They trust us that we will not encroach upon them, upon their culture, we will not encroach upon their traditions. And we trust them that they will not spend the money that they are giving to them in alcoholism. And this has created a win-win situation for all of us. Moving to the next. So, what have I learned from Jhabua? Nature abounds in resources, so don't dismiss a place as drought-prone or semi-arid and all that. Nature has something for every place, every area. To harvest nature's bounties long-term, one has to work in harmony with it. While dealing with human development issues, a profit-sharing balance sheet should be the least governing document. Good intention, determination to survive, and innovative ideas in that order are the key to success. And we have not stopped there. We are still working there, and we are improving upon our techniques. In fact, the newsletter which I have given to you, 2 innovations that we have created there now, which I want to share with you, is something called drip irrigation. We realize that howsoever ponds and check dams and all that we create, how do we take water to the plants and for maximum use? Because you have undulating terrain there, the water does not stop, water runs down. So the technique which they have used in Israel called drip irrigation, that you create, as you give drip to the humans, similarly you give drip to the plants. So this drip instrument, which had to be imported, was high cost, and we could not afford that. So what we created there are we are using the Coca-Cola bottles, the plastic bottles, PET bottles. We have cut them from the top. We pour water through there, and we have put the the drip pipe which is used in the medical work. We put that at the bottom, and we put that into the plant. And we fill the bottle in the morning, and by the evening the bottle gets empty. But every drop of that water goes to the plant, and the plants are showing great survival rates. The other thing that which we have created there are what's called water bulb. In fact, they would be here. The water bulb is, again, we are talking about solar bulb and solar energy and all this, but solar energy is also a very, very costly proposition. You see, this is drip irrigation. This is the drip which is being given to the plant, and this is the drip bottom, and this is the drip which is being put there. So this we have been pretty successful, and this whole field is now being looked after by drip irrigation, and it's showing good results. The other thing which I wanted to show you is something this is called the water bulb. Now the water bulb is something like this. You put a solvent in this, and it is left in sun. The upper portion is exposed to sun, and the solvent below shines like this. So in the dark huts, you just put this and he gets a permanent supply of light with no expenditure at all. So this is another innovation which we have done there. And this again we are going to introduce it in a big way. So again what I was trying to tell you, small things, small efforts, small wins. So if you have ideas, if you have determination, and most importantly, if you have humility, affection, these are the things which make you very successful as a leader. I'm grateful to all of you for being patient with me and hearing me out. A very, very rural kind of a story being told to a very urban audience. Thank you, Raji, for giving me this opportunity.
Small things create small win. It's not about money always. Even a small initiative can bring a change. Because changes are products of intensive efforts. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing a very interesting case of Jabwa village, an initiative taken by CFM with the help of various youth volunteers. I hope this will definitely help our students to understand the objective of life and their role and importance for social and economical development. So I just end this session by quoting the very powerful lines said by Swami Vivekananda. So long as the millions live in hunger and ignorance, I hold every man a traitor who, have been educated at their expense, pays not the least heed to them. Now I request our director, sir, to offer a token of gratitude to our guests.